Dr. David Kimbro and Dr. Randall Hughes work to unlock the secrets of the intertidal zone, where the land meets the sea.
How important are predators to these natural coastal systems and the services that they give us?
To answer this one big question, they have to first tackle several smaller ones. One experiment looked at how young oysters grew and survived at locations across the southeast. Some were left open to predators, and some were in cages where the fear of being eaten would affect them. David and Randall's crew would check their progress along the way. It was a lot of work.
Go out and rip up chunks of oyster reef, extract the oyster spat that had settled on the adults there, saw out the spat, and glue those onto our tiles.
The tiles had to be back on the reef within a day so that the oyster spat would survive. They did this for dozens of tiles at each site. But
it turns out that our glue wasn't so super and crazy.
Things were different the second time around.
10.04, 12.08.
We took adult oysters to a hatchery, and they spawned the oysters and raised up juvenile oysters so that they're all individuals, and all we now have to do is affix them to these tiles. They're small, but they're much more uniform and they're much easier to work with.
The oysters were bred from adults at each of their study sites. Spat from each family was placed on the test reefs.
And then we use Z-Spar, this marine adhesive that's pretty yucky to work with, but very effective.
Data from hundreds of tiles along the east coast is currently being processed. They are looking at which of the oysters best survive predators, which grow the fastest, where do oysters grow best, which oysters are most successful.
In the Grass on the Reef is funded by the National Science Foundation.